and we wanted to just kind of share some of the stuff that we saw down there and what we did. And so I guess I'll just start off by saying we had an amazing time. These girls are awesome, and they just really love to serve the Lord. And we did all sorts of different things with the kids, and outside the kids, we did a couple of service projects. One of the service projects that we did, we went to the beach and did some cleanup, and just their beaches were just really nasty. Couldn't walk like 2 feet without seeing something on the ground. So we just went for an hour and picked up 5 trash bags full of trash, and while we were there, we were kind of walking along the beach. We kind of went our separate ways, and I guess I'll explain. The team that is in the pink shirts, which were made by Sarah Hay, she's not here today, but they're awesome. That team was Team Azul while we were down there. And then when the blue shirts, these were given to us by the AIM staff that's down there, and we were Team Rojo. So these two teams kind of split up, and we did our separate beach cleanup and did other things separately. But so anyway, my team went down. We were going down one way, and we were picking up trash, and a couple of people asked us what we were doing, and we explained to them, and then they were like, well, that's crazy that you guys have to come down here and clean up our own beach. Yeah, so and then we had a couple people come up and actually put trash in our bag, and so it was kind of cool to put that seed out there just to show them that, hey, you guys probably should start taking care of your beach, and people probably, hopefully, will start taking after that and doing some more beach cleanup themselves. And so
I just want to say, the one lady that had told us, she's like, wow, it's embarrassing that we have to have Americans come and clean up our beach. And I think we can take from that and just, in our own community, we don't have to wait on other people to do stuff for it. We can all just take action, and it doesn't have to be necessarily cleaning up somewhere, but we can go down to the animal shelter or do things around our own community to help out and make it something that we're proud of.
One of the things we did was there was a basketball camp every morning. We do a basketball camp, and so for me, I played more basketball in that week than I have since I was junior year in high school. So it was good. It was good. But yeah, we just half the kids it was about split up, half and half. The younger ones really couldn't play in the basketball camp, and that was kind of their plan. So we had to kind of readjust as in true mission trip style, I guess, where the plans didn't work out like we intended, but we did have a good time playing basketball with the older kids, and they didn't really speak English at all, so that was a challenge in itself. But we just really felt that God worked just in bonding, just playing with them, and just showing God's love to them through just showing that we care. We really felt that these kids weren't starving hungry. It wasn't like they were living in cardboard boxes on the street. That wasn't the case. It was really more that these kids needed love. They probably didn't have love at home. There were some kids that the parents had actually even asked if we could take care of them for a few days so that the parents wouldn't have to. And so I think that was touching for the girls to realize that the kids we just played with, their parents didn't even want them home that night. And so I think we could go out and play with them and love them, even though we couldn't speak their language. We could still show the love of Christ just through our actions. But I guess just in general, I just want to say this group of girls is just amazing. I didn't know what to expect going as the only guy, but it was awesome. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Just a group of young women that are truly seeking God in everything they do. We prayed that God would just break us down and just take away distractions, and that we would be able to just truly just focus on Him for a week while we were down there. And I just am so thankful. I feel like God really did. It was just clear. There was There's no fighting, no bickering, no nothing. It was good. The girls just grew unbelievably close together and closer to God. And for me, it was amazing seeing them, just as we have older ones that are more experienced, younger ones, this is their first time, and how everyone, they helped each other grow, and it was just amazing watching them. They were so intent on we have our big group, they called it at night, and whatever we go over, the girls were just soaking it up. And so everything we did, I'm just amazed and so proud of these young women. They're definitely on their way to being godly young women, and it's definitely very exciting for me to see that. So.
Well, I guess I'm supposed to go next. I'm supposed to talk about basketball, but I'll do that in a second. So, you won't laugh, but someday you're going to be up here. Okay, so I wrote a little poem, Dr. Seuss, cheesy style, so I wouldn't forget what I was supposed to say. So, did we send, okay, those of you who watched Mulan yesterday, you'll understand the reference. Did we send God daughters when he asked for sons? No. Did we send him with 9 daughters and 1 son to go? All our leaders, Mike, Christina, and Kelly, went to, I think it's funny how Mike had to wear blue. Piling into Mom and Dad's pickup truck in the Yukon, just like that, we were all gone. I'm shaking like a leaf. Okay, excited to go, I shouted, "Here we go," on the plane. With efforts to keep me quiet, Emma told me to settle down. I did it, sorta, only so she wouldn't frown. Finally, landing into our new exotic land, we all piled up in a big white van, meeting all our leaders, Taylor, Tyler, Natalia, Jared, Jimmy, Adam, and Bethany. They were also very crazy and welcoming. The food was a bit interesting, but the kids were amazing. Our week was filled with fun, while God's work was being done. Okay. We were all changed in so many ways, especially there was that one day that we all cried with the Holy Spirit working in our hearts. There was no way you can tear God apart. We left on Friday, cried because we had to go, but that's just how God intended it to be, just so. We had to leave the kids and the leaders in God's hands as we got back in that big white van to go debrief. At 5 o'clock in the morning, Alberto came. We were definitely not the same. All toasty and sunburned. When we got home, we were all ready to return. And now that I close this with this pink highlighter, I wrote a pink highlighter. So. I couldn't have asked for a team any cooler, crazier, awesomer, creative. You get the point. And now let us go make our mark on the world and see what God has in store. P.S. I hope this cheesy poem wasn't a bore. So we're not only future poets, so that's one time. Okay, so. I won't drop it, I promise. Okay, so I was supposed to talk about basketball, so that's what I'm going to do. Was it me, Emily, and Bailey that have only really played basketball, like, legitimately? And Mike. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going down with a group of girls, and, like, no one knows how to play basketball. What am I going to do? So, I remembered my favorite verse, which is Philippians 4:13. And it's, I can do everything through him who gives me strength. Even though we had a language barrier, we still were able to connect with the kids, especially through basketball. You really only need to know a few things: bathroom, silence, and come here and pass, and you got the whole thing covered. And so, and very good. And then so, I knew a little bit of Spanish, so I could, but I knew some main words. So one of the guys down there, Taylor, he didn't know any Spanish, and he was from Georgia, so he said y'all all the time. So he was trying to talk to some kids, and he's like, da 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 da, and this kid's like, I want water. He was like talking about passing and stuff. I was like, no. So even though they made a language barrier, we did have interpreters. But there was this one time that we got split up into crafts and relay stuff. We didn't have an interpreter. The other group had the 2 interpreters. So we got stuck with a room full of boys. They're crazy, and stuff. And then, so I go out there. I was like, we need an interpreter. And Kayla's like, be flexible. I can touch my toes, but other than that, it was like, okay. Silencio, yeah, and then Kelly's like, okay, just go get it. So we go back out there, and I get the interpreter. And so it was just reminding me how that God's going to be there even though when you're supposed to touch your toes. So, and basketball was really fun. I got with the little kids. You think we have a short attention span? They've got an even shorter attention span. So that was, making animals and while trying to stretch, and Taylor telling me to slow down. I said, no, can't slow down with these kids. So we did passing games. Kelly made a great basket and stuff. So it was really fun. We got to know the younger kids really well. And then there was the one girl, when we had to leave, we had to tell them we had to leave. Yeah, that didn't go real well. So we told them we had to leave, and they're like, oh. Like I was telling Roberto that I had to leave. He's like, oh yeah, you come back tomorrow. No. I was like, I live in the USA. He's like, oh, you live right there. No. Louise, can you come translate for me? So translators are really nice. The basketball, as I'm trying to steer back on. Basketball, it was really fun with the little kids, even if they kind of make up it as they go. But I guess we do too as Americans. So, yeah.
Okay, so like Amanda and Mike said, there was a language barrier, and it was really difficult to understand. And I remember one day we were outside doing a relay thing, and I was trying to talk to one of the kids, and like Amanda said, we didn't have a translator. And I was trying to talk to this little girl, and she's like saying a whole bunch of stuff to me. I have no idea what she's saying, and I get just so confused. And she just keeps talking, and she tries to act it out, and that just makes it even worse. And so there's this little boy, and I didn't even know he spoke English. Like, he started talking to me, and he's like, well, she wants to know when we're going inside. And I was like, well, soon. And so he told her, and he's like, I speak more English than I do Spanish. And I was like, where have you been? But, yeah, the language barrier was terrible, and there was only 2 translators, and which they did help a lot. They just, yeah, it would have helped a lot if we knew some Spanish, which Michaela did, some Spanish. But then there was the language barrier and the age, and like how they didn't really understand what we're saying to them, so that just makes it difficult for them too. And just like Mike said, a lot of the kids came from broken homes, which was really sad. I remember there was this little boy, what was his name, John? Okay. So he made his first basket that I saw. So I went up to him and I held out my hand and I said, cinco, which is 5. So like high five. And he flinched really bad, like I was gonna hit him. And it was really sad and just touched.
well, they already said that there was a language barrier, but I really think that through the basketball and through the crafts and stuff, that our love was the greatest language of all, and like that really showed through everyone, and that was something that I took away from the trip, was that, you know, love is a universal language, kind of like math, but a little bit different. And so it was really, really cool to see everyone that couldn't speak any Spanish speak through love, and so that was really cool. The other thing, there's a few other service projects that we did, well, not service projects, but after we would do the basketball camp and VBS through the day, we would go do something else before we would go back and do dinner and have debrief and be weird and silly. One time we went to the beach, like Christina said, and the other time we went to the rainforest, which was really amazing. And then the next day, the last day that we were there, that we had an opportunity to do this, we did something called an ATL, and that was Ask the Lord. And we went to a shopping center, like Walmart, and Payless, and a lot of American stores, which was kind of weird to see down there, but it made sense. So we split into our Rojo and Azul teams, and we sat down and prayed for 15 minutes and said, God, who do you want us to go see? Who do you want us to talk to in this shopping center? And he really spoke to us. And it was really simple things, like Faith got a blue t-shirt, and Bailey in my team got an older woman. And I was like, I think we should go to Walmart. And it was really, really simple things that led us to this woman, and we found her. We looked through Walmart and looked, and we were like, where is she? And we finally found her. She was older and had a blue t-shirt on and was in Walmart. And we asked her, can we pray for you? And she's like, yeah, my mom's sick. That's not quite what we were expecting. We were expecting, like, what are you guys doing? Why are you praying for us, you know? And it was so cool to see that God works through simple things like a blue t-shirt. And I remember Faith saying, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. Like, God is so real. And I think we don't always realize that. You know, we don't realize how real he really is until you go out and you try to find him and you just let him be real. And so after that, we decided that we can do that at home too. We can go to Walmart and pray for 15 minutes and say, hey, God, who do you want us to go talk to? So I think that's in the plan somewhere, but I'm not sure. But it was really cool. So, and Ellen's going to talk about it a little bit more. I hope I didn't steal it.
Kayla kind of explained it pretty well. So what was odd though is that both of our teams, some things that God told us we both had in common. Like both of our groups had a yellow t-shirt. And at one point we walked into Walmart and there was this gentleman in a yellow t-shirt standing by the cash register. So my team went up and we're about to talk to him when the other team comes rushing in and starts talking to him. So for a second we were a little confused, like, hang on a sec. And then when we compared notes later, we found that we both had the yellow t-shirt on. So that was pretty cool, just how God does work. And I mean, that's just gotta be a God thing. There's no way that's coincidence. But something that I wanted to share was with the little kids, I mean, a lot of them really didn't have any love at home. And some of them, the first day when we got there, we'd serve them lunch. Some of the little kids that I was sitting with ate like 4 and 5 lunches. I mean, it was crazy. And some of them were really, really small and really thin. And it occurred to me just how absurd what we were doing was. We were going down to a place where these kids had no love, had no food, had no future. Really, a lot of the kids from that area might get into bad habits with alcohol or drugs or fall into paths that their parents did, and they just didn't have a future as much. And it occurred to me that all we're offering these kids is love. And at the beginning of the week, I wanted to do so much more. I wanted to, I don't know, do something that could really make a lasting impression. But throughout the week, God taught me that if you have love, you have absolutely everything else. And if these kids had our love, they were happy. They didn't care that they didn't have food, and we were giving them food out of love as well. And it occurred to me that if they have God's love, then they'll always have security and always have a family. So.
I'm going to go off of what Michaela said about the ATL, which I'm supposed to talk about VBS, so it's a little bit different. Even though we didn't pray or talk to the guy in the yellow shirt, there was this girl right behind him, and she had this shirt on with hibiscus flowers, and they were facing backwards. And Tyler had that previously, like on the list. So if we wouldn't have, if we would have been able to talk to that guy in the yellow shirt, we wouldn't have found out that she was sick and she was having an operation and just needed help to get through it because she didn't have financials. Like, she didn't have the money to do it. So that was kind of cool. And so, VBS anyway. Okay, so the little kids, we had verses and everything planned out, and they got to decorate sheets of paper and stuff like that. And even though we didn't tell them to write stuff like, I love Jesus and I love God, they did it anyway. They had crosses on their paper, and someone asked me to help them spell out things and just help them write things down. And it was just really eye-opening that just the little we were as little as we were doing, it was making a huge impression. And I don't know, I just wanted kind of lost for words, actually.
Okay, so like Emily said, we did a VBS, but down there we call it adventure camps. And what we figured out is the kids really love skits a lot. So we came up with skits like, I don't know, what we were trying to teach them that week was obedience. And so we had the story of Jonah and the whale. So we had like very little props, and we used like a sheet for a whale and like pretended to be on a boat and all those things. But they loved it, even though they may not have gotten like what some of the props were. They still loved it. And it was just awesome to see, even though they probably didn't know what the heck it was, they were getting stuff from the story. Like, I don't know. And so we did more skits about obedience. Some laughed, some was like, oh, yeah, that's good. And yeah, so and then we did a craft and verses, like Emily said. And the kids, even though they couldn't understand us and we couldn't understand them, they loved us and we loved them. And it's like they were experiencing a whole new thing because their parents didn't give them attention at home, or something that we can experience because we all have wonderful families that love us and care for us and will do anything for our safety. And at the beginning, there was a couple of kids that were rambunctious and rebels and did all these things and stuff. But then at the end, like the second day, I saw one of those kids taking care of the littler kids, like the ones that were left out or didn't get as much attention as some of the other kids because there was only 9 of us. But he was giving them piggyback rides and helping them out and stuff, which reminded me that even though we're just loving them, like we're not doing anything physically like painting a house or building a church or making a community well or something. Even the little things that God teaches us to do by just loving can make a huge difference in a community. And there was this little boy down there. His name was Yandel. And yeah, Yandel is his name. And every time we would leave, he would run up and be like, wait, wait, and then he would come and give us all hugs. And then there was this other girl, her name was Alishka, and she did the same thing. Because we started giving them hugs, and they were like, oh, we like hugs because it makes us feel loved. And so they would come up and hug us right before we left and be like, bye, see you tomorrow. But then the last day came, and we were trying to explain to them that we're not the group that's going to be coming back on Monday. And there's going to be another group that are going to love you and teach you about Jesus. And I don't know if they fully understood it until we actually left and their group came on Monday, but they did realize a little bit that they may not see us again until we get to heaven. So it was just kind of hard to realize that we may have to wait to see them again. But it was amazing. And the one thing that God taught me down there is what a broken heart is. And what amazing sacrifice, what amazing team He can put behind you.
This week was really amazing on a lot of different fronts. We were the first team to this site in Puerto Rico. This was the first time we've been in that community. And so we were able to kind of lay some of the groundwork by going in and loving on these kids. The kids had never had exposure to Americans as far as we knew. And so that was really humbling for us too, to be the first hands and feet of Christ coming into this community. And we were able to work through a lot of things with the Adventures staff down there. There's 4 site leaders, and that was really cool too, to be able to speak into their ministry down there and help iron out the kinks for them. I felt like we were kind of the guinea pigs for the week, and God had us there for a reason, and that was just absolutely cool too. We were a small group. They were getting a team of 45 the next week. Then the rest of the summer is going to be 45 to 51 or so per week, and so I'm glad that we could kind of, you could just see God's hand laying that, like we're going to kind of ease them into the summer, and that was just a huge blessing too. One of the humbling things for me is just watching how God worked in the lives and the hearts of all these women, and myself and Christina. It was just, it's profound. We can't possibly explain that, what He does, but I hope that you're seeing that in your kids and these kids here for parents. I just want to talk about coming home and how hard that is. When you come back from a trip like this, there's just no words to possibly explain it. God does things that just shake your socks off, and it's humbling. You don't really want to jump back into American culture. You don't have words to say, and yet you have to keep on going. But you just have a different purpose and a different vision behind that. And I think that's what we're all wrestling with this week. It's just a matter of saying, God, what do you want us to do now that we're back, now that we have more of a global perspective? And so I hope that you will give them grace and also ask them and encourage them, and just that they can continue on with what God has done, because that's the hard part too, is when you come off a mountain like this and you come back, it's like, okay, how do I regain that, but in a different capacity? And so these guys just need prayer, and they need encouragement, and I hope that they're going to find avenues. We're going to try to do and ask the Lord this summer. We're going to try to do some other random stuff around Bozeman and around our communities in Manhattan, and you name it. And that's the neat part too, is we just have a new perspective and a new vision for what we do. One of the praises that we've kind of been in contact with the site leader down there this last week, she was able to share that 2 of the kids that we worked with, we don't know the names yet, but they did accept the Lord this last week. And so that was just really encouraging for all of us, because we've been trying to show them Jesus and trying to talk about Jesus, and then we had to let them go, and then Jesus said, watch this, I'm going to bring them to me this week. And so, there's just really amazing things that are going on down there. I just ask that you pray for the staff down there as well, because I worked at camp, and this is like kind of like camp, but to a greater degree, and I just know how exhausting it is for the staff down there. And so just if you think of them too, pray for them. We have a poster, right? Somebody want to explain that?
Well, one night during our big group, which was our debriefing time at night, the AIM staff was like, okay, here's a piece of paper, be creative. They said, we want you to put down where you live and where you can make more of a difference and be creative about it. So, let's see, I can't really see, but I know that there's Bozeman High, Manhattan area, Churchill, and then we have this beautiful drawing of Mike and Christina's daily route and stuff, and then some more creative stuff, and we all need to list how we can make the difference. And it's kind of a challenge to us as we wrote down where we can make the difference. I mean, of course we can say, oh yeah, I can go make a difference in Bozeman, I can go make a difference at my school, or I can do something different at home. But it's really important to say, this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to make a difference. And so, some of the things on here, I can't read upside down entirely, but there's stay true, and there's, I can, more love, and there's all kinds of really cool things on here, volunteer work, and prayer walks, and things that we all as individuals wanted to do when we came home, but also as a team we wanted to do this together and show this valley what God is really about, because we all felt Him. We all felt His Spirit. There was 2 nights that we really could feel the Spirit, and it was amazing. You obviously can't really explain it, but it was life-changing for all of us. I remember talking to Bailey afterwards, and I'm like, have you ever experienced anything like that? And she's like, no. And Faith too, and she's like, that was so amazing, and my life has changed. What more could you ask for when you go on a mission trip, right? I mean, there was one night that, the first night, we all started praying, and I don't know if it was the worship or what was going on, but it was Thursday night, right? No, it was Wednesday night. And you could just feel the Holy Spirit in the room. It was so amazing, and we broke off into our teams and we just started praying, and we didn't really know what to pray for. The AIM staff was just like, okay, let's just break off and pray. And so we prayed for a really long time, and we all came back together afterwards, and we were all just like crying, so filled with the Spirit. And, yeah, our hearts were being molded right there. It was really, really cool to see. I wish you all could have seen it, but it was a special moment that we had together, and it really drew us close together in any way, like in a divine way. And I think that's why we're all so close, is because we're so divinely connected. But the Spirit really worked on this trip, and so we're all really different and just renewed and joyful and just full of the Spirit. And so I hope you can see that. But it was really cool because this was my last mission trip going with the youth group, because I graduated, and it was really hard because I love them so much and I want to do more and more and more. And this was such a great ending mission trip, you guys, and I loved it. I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to come home. I don't think any of us really did. I mean, we love you guys. It was hard to come home, and this trip was really hard for me because it was my last one. And I think it was Mike and Christina's last one too. But it was a really great ending trip. and to feel the Spirit really move in us and really see what God can do and see people like Faith and Bailey and Emily and Mackenzie who've never been on a mission trip have that as their first mission trip and just experience God so much in 2 days. It was so cool to observe, and I loved I loved it, and I feel like an older sister to all of you because I'm so much older and I'm so old. But it was so cool, and I don't know, you guys sent us on a really great trip, and we're so thankful that we could go with all of your help and support behind us. And yeah, I'll stop now.
I was still talking again. I forgot something. So, okay. So I have a question. Who has their bracelets? I know you all have them. I don't know if they're on, but I know you have them.
Mine broke.
It's okay.
Broke.
Does anyone else have them? Did anyone out there? No? Okay. Does anyone have a paper clip? Or a safety pin? Besides me?
I have a safety pin.
You got a safety pin. You got a safety pin. Okay. There's relevance to this. Don't worry. I'm not crazy. I'll need it. But, okay. You hold this. Yeah. Should have took this off earlier. Yeah, that's great. Sorry for the inconvenience, but so a paperclip. Can anyone tell me what a paperclip does? This is an open-ended question. You can actually say it. It's not rhetorical. Promise.
Holds things together.
Hold things together. Just one answer. Don't be shy. I don't bite.
Use it to clean out your shoe.
Okay, there's another good use for it.
You can reset your watch with it.
Reset, yep.
It connects things.
Exactly, it does that too. Does all those things, and it can fix a stove and a grill. So, our leaders down there, Tyler was his name. It was me, Michaela, Mike, and Mike, yeah. So they know the story of this, so they're gonna hear it again. So there was this paper clip, and so he was telling us, and he was all like, yeah, they were fixing the stove or whatever, and the one guy needed a paper clip or a safety pin. He's like, I don't have a safety pin or paper clip, who carries those? So then he found it in his shoe, so apparently he does. And so then later he was fixing the grill, and so then he's all like, oh man, I need something to poke this thing with or whatever, and so then he found a paper clip. So then he held on to it and he showed us this. And I'm back and I'm trying to contain all my stuff from when we got back, and Mom's trying to help me get all my stuff together, and Grandma's trying to help me get all my stuff together, and Dad's getting the pickup. So it took a whole team to get me into the car. So I looked down, and all of a sudden there's this paper clip right there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a paper clip. And so Tyler said for him it was a reminder that God's always there for him. It was a reminder to me of Puerto Rico and that God's always there. So yeah. So if you find anyone with a paperclip on their wrist, there's a story to it. Promise. Okay, go ahead. I don't know what's next.
Does anybody else have anything they want to share right now? Okay.
I just wanted to share, for me, going on this trip, I'm the youngest one out of the group, and I think we all got really close on the trip. And I already have an older sister, but for me, I can look to all these women and Mike, and I can look up to them all, and these guys they're like older sisters to me, and we're all kind of like a family now. And I can look up to all of them, and I know I can call them and say, hey, I'm having a hard time, will you pray for me? And I've never really had that with friends. I've never been able to just ask someone to pray for me or had that close relationship. So I think it's really been a blessing for me to have them all, and I know that our friendship goes beyond this trip, and I'm really excited to see what God can do with that.
And so I hope you guys were blessed by just a tidbit of what we shared here this morning. It really, all the glory goes to God. I'm just amazed by what he does constantly, and I'm proud of these women. They were amazing. I'm just so thankful to be able to take them, and like I said, this is my favorite part of my job. And so I just encourage you to stick around after church, and we can chat a little bit more with these guys out on the lawn with our little flock of flamingos. We're going to have a PowerPoint at the end of the service that kind of shows our pictures of the week and some of the songs that we sang down there during worship, and so you can just catch a little bit more of our drift.
I just have something else to say. The girls and I have been meeting somewhat this week, and we would like to thank Kelly for all of her hard work putting this trip together and everything she does for the church. And so we put together a little gift for her. Kelly took some amazing pictures while we were down there. We all did, but she had some that she really wanted, and we put some together that we thought would bring some joy to her to look at in the future. So we made a little collage, and we also got her a certificate for a massage.
Thank you very much, you guys. Yeah, I appreciate it very much. Yeah, I was telling them down there when I was taking some of these pictures, I'm like, I really want to blow these up and put them on my wall, because one of my friends, she has some from one of her mission trips, and it's just a really good reminder. And so I'll keep this up around here at church for a while so you guys can look at it and just see more into our week. So thank you so much for your patience and your heart in listening to us, and I know we're all available for more conversations.